Now, typically, if you want big designer names, you have to pay for them, unfortunately. Unless, of course, you go to TK Maxx. But TK Maxx haven't started selling cars yet, unless I'm missing something here. Anyway, what if I was to tell you, you could drive something like this, but whilst only paying the price of something like that? Yeah, I thought it would get your attention.
Like all premium labels, the Audi e-tron is expensive, but it's been around for a few years. But there is a way you can get one on your driveway for less than you'd pay for a new electric hatchback like the Volkswagen ID.4 or Vauxhall Mokka E. And that's by choosing one which has been pre-loved. You can now buy a used e-tron for almost half the price of a new one.
Well, before I tell you which Audi e-trons to look for and what to avoid, I just need your attention, please. Just look into my eyes, look into my eyes, look into my eyes, get your finger, get the subscription button, click, get the notification button, click, and back in the room.
You see, we've driven quite a few e-trons here at electrifying.com, and well, it's fair to say it causes some head scratching. Sometimes we love them, other times not so much.
So we tried to boil it down to find out the secret, and it comes down to the bling and the battery.
Right, let's start with the bling. Some e-trons are loaded with kit, which is usually, of course, a very good thing. And we love technology. We love the shiny stuff too. But it also has the potential to really irritate you. Now let's start with the wheels. The e-tron is available with alloys, which are up to 22-inch in size, and they do look really great, super snazzy, and every time you look back at the car, you will be proud of them.
But every time you're actually in the car, I promise you're going to curse them, because it means you use more electricity, you have less range, and the car isn't going to be as comfortable over bumps. We're talking a dent of about 10% in efficiency, depending on how you drive. So what you really want are the nice squishy tyres like you have on this one, and believe me, it really does make a difference. It's much nicer to live with. Then, of course, there's the battery. Now, Audi initially offered just one size, a whopper 95 kilowatt hour pack, which is one of the biggest that you'll find on any car. And it's enough to take you up to an official range of 233 miles between charges, which is brilliant, but hardly super efficient, because real world, we're talking about 200 miles.
These big battery versions are called the 55, for reasons which, well, no one has actually ever been able to really explain. But then it brought in a model which was much cheaper, but used a 71 kilowatt hour battery. It has a bit less power, and they called this the 50, again for some form of reason. But this is the one we struggle to recommend.
You see, it has a claimed range of 190 miles, which is less than an electric Vauxhall Corsa, so that really is saying something. Plus, claimed is the operative word here, because when we've tested it, the best we've managed to get is 161 miles, which, well, it's just not going to be enough for a big family-sized SUV like the e-tron.
On the plus side, both models can be charged quickly at service stations using a rapid charger at 150 kilowatts if you can find one of the new powerful chargers, which are starting to pop up everywhere. Now, that was actually a good bit of forward thinking by Audi.
Now, that's just as well, because the Audi e-tron takes a really long time to charge by any other means. If you have the bigger battery and you're relying on a 3-pin plug, it could take, wait for it, 3.5 days. Yeah, not hours, days. Of course, if you are using a home wall socket, then it will take more like 15 hours. But whilst you wait, why not marvel at this rather incredible motorised charging flap? Oh yeah. And actually, you can share the experience with a friend, because there's not one, there's 2 charging flaps on this car.
The pair of flaps have got a proper use, of course, as it means you get a bit of choice about how to park at charging points. Although the DC Rapid is only on the driver's side. It could make the difference if you have an awkward driveway, though.
Now, whilst we're here, there's something else you need to be aware of. Door mirrors. So instead, there's a camera on the outside where your wing mirror would normally be, and then it projects a virtual image onto the screen here. However, they are infuriating in the rain, and the visibility is really bad. Don't get me wrong, I love a bit of tech. However, personally for me, I would stick with your trusty traditional wing mirror. So there we go, something to look out for.
Even on the lesser versions, there's more useful tech though. And the sat-nav in particular is really quite incredible. I love it. Just look at all those beautiful pictures. And despite the fact that I am slightly obsessed with Apple CarPlay, I'm gonna say it. Please don't crucify me in the comments below if you are a diehard Apple fan, but I think this is better. 7 seats aren't an option, but you won't have any reason to complain about space for the driver, 4 passengers or their luggage. Head and legroom in the back are excellent, which means that even taller adults don't feel cramped. All models have leather, and it does come in more interesting colours than this grey. Now, we haven't heard of any major issues with the car, only a few niggling fault reports. Servicing is pretty reasonable too. Audi will sell you a plan which will keep an e-tron maintained for around £22 per month. Now, that doesn't include tyres, and this is a big, heavy car, so they do wear quickly. When you come to replace them, you'll be glad you went for the smaller wheels, again, because they're cheaper. Now, the biggest selection of e-trons is to be found at Audi dealers, of course, and we did find some real bargains. The most eye-popping is this, a car which has been registered by a dealer, but never driven further than the front gate. It's got almost £17,000 off the list price, so that makes it the same sort of price as the Skoda Enyaq that we tried just a couple of weeks ago.
So the e-tron is a brilliant electric car for those people who aren't sure if they want an electric car. It is literally an Audi SUV that just happens to run on electricity. There is nothing more to it, nothing too complicated about it, and there are some brilliant deals to be had on the used car market, so do have a look around. And remember, say yes to the big battery, but say no to the bling, on this occasion anyway.
Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully this has helped you make a decision on which used car you're going to buy. We have done a more in-depth review of the Audi e-tron by Ginny, and we'll put the link to that video below.